हाँ जी, अस्सलाम वालेकुम हादिया।
वालेकुम सलाम सर।
कैसी हैं बच्चे, खैरियत से हैं?
यस सर।
Alhamdulillah. चलिए जी, so let's just wait for one more minute. The others to join and then we will begin, inshallah. Chalo ji, Assalamu alaikum once again for those of you who joined. I really thank you, Jazakumullah khairan, and I appreciate that you're being very kind and taking out time on Saturday because of my holiday that I plan to do next week. Challenge Allah aapko bahut ज़्यादा खैर दे, barakallahu feekum. So inshallah, today I am planning to finish this topic and do some past papers inshallah. और फिर इसके बाद जो हम टॉपिक शुरू करेंगे that is plant transport. Although the fifth topic in your syllabus is animal nutrition and digestion, लेकिन we are going to get rid of this plants first inshallah, the nutrition and the transport, and then we are going to jump on to the animal nutrition inshallah. ठीक है जी? चले जी, so quickly, yesterday we saw in detail, we started off with the idea of minerals and their importance, ठीक है? और हमने, we saw the nitrate, iron, and then we started off with the functions of the guard cell, and then we went into details of how the stomata opens and closes. During the daylight it opens, and during the nighttime it basically closes, ठीक है? And then we went on to see the investigations with regards to the rate of photosynthesis, in which I said that we basically use water plants, and we use the number of bubbles as a sign for us to see what's the rate of reaction. Okay. And then we said that the rate of photosynthesis changes with changing three things: the light intensity, the temperature, and the carbon dioxide concentration. And then we saw different setups that basically do all of this stuff. Okay. So now, inshallah, we are moving on to our final topic, which is limiting factors. It's usually understood to be one of the difficult topics, lekin it's actually a very easy topic. Okay. And I am going to explain this with a graph. Okay. And then I have gathered almost 12 or 13 MCQs that have to do with this topic, because it's usually the MCQs that give students some trouble. So we are going to go in detail of that, and then we are going to jump onto the past papers for this topic, inshallah. Okay. Okay. So limiting factors. I'm going to draw a graph myself first. Okay. So और फिर हम इसकी explanation पे आते हैं, ठीक है जी? So let's say that's the line, and then that's okay. All right, ठीक है जी, ये हमारे पास y axis है, ये हमारे पास x axis है, ठीक है? And we are trying to, of course, limiting factors, remember, has to do with the rate of photosynthesis topic. So let's say that on x axis we have let's say light intensity. Intensity, of course, whatever its units are. Units, arbitrary units, whatever the units the examiner will give. And on the y-axis, but we have the rate of reaction. All right, so usually the graph is supposed to look something like the following. 10 second. Okay. So the graph looks something like the following. It's a freehand graph, so I think I need slightly, let me do this with a red line. Okay, challenge. So this is the line that you can see, and then I'm going to mark three different points on this. Let's say that's point A. Let's see that's point B, and let's say this is point C. Okay. Now, what exactly is a limiting factor? Let me give you the explanation first. इसको आप definition समझ लें, इसको आप explanation समझ लें, whatever the case is. So, what are limiting factors? Explanation. So, the first thing that we should know is that photosynthesis requires several factors. Photosynthesis requires several factors. Who will name the factors for me? Anybody, please? हाँ जी, कौन कौन सी चीजें चाहिए होती हैं बच्चों? The first one is, come on, this is easy. Who will tell me? Let me tell you the first one. Carbon dioxide is the first one. What's the next thing? Please बच्चों जरा बताएं. What's
Chlorophyll.
chlorophyll? शाबाश. Uh, chlorophyll, okay. हम कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड करते हैं, फिर हम वाटर करते हैं. क्लोरोफिल मैं लिखता हूँ. वो वाटर, carbon dioxide, and then we have light. ठीक है, and then we also have temperature. ठीक है. यानी कि it requires several factors. असल में chlorophyll usually vary नहीं हो सकती because the chlorophyll content is almost the same in the plant. So therefore I'm not writing that in this context. Okay. So these are the several factors that photosynthesis will require. Okay. Now remember, there will be always one that is the shortest in supply. The one shortest in supply is known as the limiting factor. देखें, if you look at the word limiting means कि वो limited है, थोड़ा है, okay? So the one factor that is shortest in supply out of all of these factors that I've written is known as the limiting factor, and it basically controls the rate of the process occurring. And in our context, which process is occurring? It is the photosynthesis. यानी कि it controls the rate of photosynthesis. यानी कि अगर मैं उस factor को change करूं, either increase or decrease, then the rate of photosynthesis will change. So how would I know out of all of these factors that which one is the limiting factor? Change all of them. If changing one of those factors changes the rate of reaction, then that is for you to know कि हाँ ये वाला factor limiting है, because इसको change करने की वजह से the rate of photosynthesis is changing. Okay. All right. Even if the others are plentiful, that's an important point. Even if other factors are plentiful. ठीक है, रेट को कंट्रोल वही करेगा जो कि लिमिटेड होगा. ठीक है. Now let's turn to the graph for understanding this. देखें आपको ग्राफ पे on the x-axis excuse me, on the x-axis you have the light intensity. ठीक है, and on the y-axis you have the rate of reaction. ठीक है. Okay, so basically जो light intensity है, that is, look at point number A. At point A, when you are increasing the light intensity, is that increasing the rate of reaction? Yes or no? क्या ख्याल है बच्चों? देख के जरा मुझे
Yes.
बताएं. Yes, exactly. So at point A, we can say that since light intensity को change करने की वजह से the rate of photosynthesis reaction is increasing, therefore we say light intensity is the limiting factor. Because this is one of the things that I said in the explanation, the one that controls the rate of reaction. So आप देखें A point पे अगर मैं light intensity को increase कर रहा हूँ, that is actually increasing for me the rate of reaction. You can clearly see that increasing x-axis is increasing y-axis. Now, if I look at point B, bachcho, at point B, when I'm increasing the light intensity, is that increasing the rate of reaction? क्या ख्याल है? Light intensity is the limiting factor. Again, because we can clearly see that by changing the light intensity at point B, the rate of reaction also increases. Okay? And then what about at point C? At point C, I can see that when we are increasing the light intensity, does the rate increase? It does not increase. Okay? So at this point, light intensity, do you think it is the limiting factor? क्या ख्याल है? It is not the limiting factor. Okay? It's not the limiting factor. तो फिर question ये है, what else is the limiting factor? Any of the other factors can be limiting. Usually it will be then carbon dioxide is limiting. Temperature भी हो सकता है, कुछ भी हो सकता है, but anything apart from that condition can be limiting factor. ठीक है? So it's a factor that's in the shortest supply, and it's the factor that when you change that factor, that changes the rate of photosynthesis. आज 3 बच्चे आए हैं, मुझे पहले ही एहसास हो रहा था कि सैटरडे है, छुट्टी है, और जो है ना बच्चे कम आएंगे, सबके साथ जाती, लेकिन चलें आप लोग आए हैं तो अल्लाह आपको ज़ाय खैर दे. बट आई थिंक चलें कोई बात नहीं. मैं फिर आज जो है ना इसी के that's the explanation, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to insert, let's do the MCQs for limiting factors. और मैं आज टॉपिक के पास पेपर के क्वेश्चंस नहीं करवाऊंगा. we'll do that in our next class इंशाल्लाह, बिकॉज सबके लिए रिकॉर्डिंग्स भी बड़ा मुश्किल हो जाता है. बाय द वे बच्चों, रिकॉर्डिंग्स का ये सिलसिला है. आई हैव नो प्रॉब्लम्स शेयरिंग द रिकॉर्डिंग्स, लेकिन मैं यूजुअली ये इसको ट्रेंड सेट नहीं करता, बिकॉज बच्चे फिर सुस्त होकर छुट्टी कर लेते हैं और फिर कहते हैं सर आप हमें रिकॉर्डिंग्स भेज दीजिएगा. बट दैट्स यूजुअली इट गेट्स वेरी डिफिकल्ट फॉर यू टू लुक एट द रिकॉर्डिंग्स. फातिमा, आपको जो मैंने रिकॉर्डिंग भेजी थी वो आपने डाउनलोड भी नहीं की हुई अभी तक, ऐसे ही है? क्या ख्याल है?
जी सर, मैंने की थी डाउनलोड.
कर ली हुई थी डाउनलोड? अच्छा चले, क्योंकि वो जल्दी और लेकिन वो आपने देखी नहीं होगी अभी, तो इसलिए देखें मैं आपको देख लिए कि अभी देखनी है.
नहीं सर, देखी नहीं है.
हाँ ये देखो, इसीलिए मैं आपको कह रहा हूँ मुझे कोई मसला नहीं है रिकॉर्डिंग्स भेजते हुए, लेकिन ये प्रॉब्लम होती है फिर बहुत ज्यादा. सो यू डोंट वांट टू गेट पाइल्ड अप विद रिकॉर्डिंग, सो इट्स बेटर दैट we stick to the timetable. I'm glad you guys do stick to the timetable. It's just that I wanted to take a day off and I didn't want to lessen my classes, so इसलिए आज का सिलसिला हमने किया. चलें बार अल्लाह आपको जज़ाए खैर दे. Let's quickly come to excuse me. Okay. O levels and topical questions, plant nutrition, limiting factors. चलें जी, बस ये MCQs हम दें इंशाल्लाह. क्यों जी, क्यों नहीं इंसर्ट करना? Learning factors, okay. All right, great. चलें जी, so let's look at all of these MCQs together one by one. चलें जी बच्चों. The graph shows how two different conditions affect the rate of photosynthesis. ये सारे questions बच्चों, they have to do with limiting factors, okay? So please pay attention. Okay. So, and there are only 13 MCQs, so just bear with me. The graph shows how two different conditions affect the rate of photosynthesis. Graph देखें, x-axis पे वो आपको increase दिखा रहा है और यहाँ पे rate of photosynthesis दिखा रहा है. जौन सा मर्जी factor हो, वो कह रहा है which conditions are being altered in graph 1 and 2. So you have to tell with the graph what is the x-axis showing on both of the graphs. Okay, so if you look at the first graph, it says ये factor increase हो रहा है. ये कौन सा हो सकता है? Let's try and figure out from the options. Carbon dioxide concentration, okay. Carbon dioxide temperature नहीं, असल में ये वाला graph 1 temperature नहीं हो सकता, because temperature wala graph is always bound to come down, because at the end the enzymes will be denatured. So graph 1 is not showing that case, therefore it cannot be C and D. ठीक है, कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड कॉन्सेंट्रेशन हो सकता है. ग्राफ 2 देखते हैं. रेट ऑफ फोटोसिंथेसिस ऊपर जा रहा है और फिर इसके बाद नीचे आ रहा है. ये वाला ग्राफ बच्चों यूजुअली किस फैक्टर के साथ होता है? दिस वन इज ऑलवेज विद द टेम्परेचर, बिकॉज दैट मार्क्स द मैक्सिमम रेट, और यहाँ से फिर ये सारा प्रोसेस इज ऑफ डीनेचुरेशन. ठीक है, सो देयरफॉर द करेक्ट आंसर इज बी. ठीक है, समझ में आई? अनीका, हादिया एंड फातिमा.
Yes, sir.
Okay, alhamdulillah. चलें जी, number 2. The graph shows the rate of photosynthesis in a plant full sunlight at 2 different temperatures and different concentrations of carbon dioxide. Okay, so let's understand the graph. X-axis पे उसने carbon dioxide की concentration दी हुई है और Y-axis पे उसने rate of photosynthesis दिया हुआ है. 20 डिग्री पे ग्राफ की लाइन ये वाली होती है जो ऑरेंज वाली मैंने ड्रॉ की है, और दूसरी 30 वाली जो ऑरेंज डॉटेड मैं ड्रॉ कर रहा हूँ. ठीक है, नाउ at normal atmospheric carbon dioxide concentration, what limits the rate of photosynthesis? बच्चों, what is the normal carbon dioxide concentration in air? क्या वैल्यू होती है? क्या ख्याल है? ठीक लिखा है मैंने? ये रेस्पिरेशन के टॉपिक में आपको ये परसेंटेजेस पता होनी चाहिए. आपको पता है एयर कॉम्पोजिशन में जो कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड की कॉन्सेंट्रेशन है वो क्या है? 0.04%. तो अगर आप 0.04% को ग्राफ की लाइन के साथ रिकंसाइल करें, ये मैं रिकंसाइल क्यों कर रहा हूँ? क्योंकि वो कह रहा है एट नॉर्मल एटमॉस्फेरिक कॉन्सेंट्रेशन व्हाट लिमिट्स. तो सिंस दिस पॉइंट इज रिप्रेजेंटिंग 0.04, so at this point when I am increasing the carbon dioxide concentration, bachon, is that increasing the rate of photosynthesis? Yes or no?
Yes.
Graph ko dekhen. Exactly. So if that is increasing the rate of photosynthesis, what do you think should be the limiting factor? X-axis pe kya cheez di hui hai? Carbon dioxide concentration. ठीक है, are you following?
Carbon dioxide.
कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड देखिए ना, एक्स एक्सिस पे क्या दिया हुआ है बच्चे? कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड कॉन्सेंट्रेशन दी हुई है ना. देखें, लिमिटिंग व्हाट इज, वो पूछ रहा है व्हाट लिमिट्स द रेट ऑफ फोटोसिंथेसिस, व्हिच मींस व्हाट इज द लिमिटिंग फैक्टर. ठीक है, दिस इज बेसिकली व्हाट ही इज ट्राइंग टू आस्क, व्हाट इज द लिमिटिंग फैक्टर. तो लिमिटिंग फैक्टर आपको पता है कौन सा होता है? लिमिटिंग फैक्टर.
सर, आपकी आवाज क्लियर नहीं है.
ओके, सॉरी, वेट, लेट मी सी. हाँ जी, अब बताओ, अब ठीक है? मैंने कनेक्शन चेंज किया है अपना. बेटर नाउ?
यस सर, ठीक है, अब ठीक है.
ओके, जज़ाकल्लाह खैर. हाँ जी, तो देखो मैं आपको ये बता रहा हूँ इस क्वेश्चन में बच्चों, व्हाट दे आर आस्किंग इज कि 0.04, दो चीजें वो पूछ रहा है. नंबर वन, ही इज ट्राइंग टू असेस दैट डू यू नो दैट 0.04 इज द नॉर्मल कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड कॉन्सेंट्रेशन एटमॉस्फेरिक. Number two, he's asking what is limiting the rate of photosynthesis at this particular concentration. Okay, so again we have to work with the graph. 0.04 को अगर आप reconcile करके देखें, at 0.04, when you are increasing the carbon dioxide concentration, does that increase the rate of photosynthesis? That's my question. क्या ख्याल है? Does that increase the rate of photosynthesis? Does it stay the same? क्या ख्याल है बच्चों, बताएं तो सही. Confused? आपको मेरी आवाज आ रही है?
Yes sir, can you repeat the
Okay.
question one more time?
Yes, बच्चे, the question is at 0 point, देखें, let's look at the question. He's given a graph और वो कह रहा है at normal atmospheric carbon dioxide concentration. अब पहली बात तो हमने ये देखना है कि normal atmospheric carbon dioxide concentration होती क्या है. By fact, you should know it is 0.04%. अब आप ग्राफ पे देखें 0.04% पे ग्राफ कहाँ रिकंसाइल कर रहा है at 0.04 is when we are increasing the carbon dioxide concentration from 0.04, does that increase the rate of photosynthesis? That's what I'm asking.
Yes, sir.
Exactly. तो अगर किसी फैक्टर के चेंज करने की वजह से the rate of photosynthesis is changing, then that factor is the limiting factor, because that's what we saw as definition. Look at this definition. What is a limiting factor? A factor that controls the rate of process occurring, photosynthesis. ठीक है, तो देखो पॉइंट ए पे हमने लाइट इंटेंसिटी को क्यों कहा था लिमिटिंग फैक्टर, बिकॉज एक्स एक्सिस पे लाइट इंटेंसिटी दिया हुआ था और जैसे हम उसको इंक्रीज कर रहे थे दैट वाज इंक्रीजिंग द रेट ऑफ फोटोसिंथेसिस. सेम एट पॉइंट बी, light intensity again was the limiting factor, since changing the light intensity, increasing the light intensity was increasing the rate of reaction. But at point C, we said light intensity is not the limiting factor. Why? Because increasing that was not increasing the rate of reaction. At that point, any other thing like carbon dioxide was limiting factor. ठीक है, पक्की बात है. अगर नहीं समझ में आई तो मैं बताऊं, because this is important to understand. बच्चों, do you understand this?
जी सर.
अच्छा, मैं इसी क्वेश्चन पे पूछता हूँ, इस पॉइंट पे, पॉइंट एक्स पे, do you think carbon dioxide concentration is now the limiting factor?
No, sir.
No, it's something else. Shabash. So I'm glad that you understand this. Okay. MCQ number 3. If a condition is a limiting factor for photosynthesis, what does this mean? यहाँ पे दो options आई हुई हैं सिर्फ. Oh my goodness. And let me see. अच्छा चलें, इन दोनों options में से कोई एक ही option correct है. चलें बताएं जरा. देखते हैं, बारी बारी देखते हैं. Changing the condition will either increase or decrease the rate of photosynthesis. Changing the condition will only increase the rate of photosynthesis. क्या ख्याल है, क्या आंसर होना चाहिए? इन दोनों में से ही है कोई आंसर? नो, इट्स एक्चुअली ए. क्योंकि आप एग्जांपल्स देख रहे हैं जिसमें सिर्फ रेट इंक्रीज हो रहा है, इसका ये मतलब नहीं है कि दैट कैन नॉट डिक्रीज द रेट ऑफ फोटोसिंथेसिस. ओके, देखें मैंने आपको ये कहा है कि लुक एट पॉइंट नंबर 3 अगेन. लिमिटिंग फैक्टर कंट्रोल्स द रेट ऑफ द प्रोसेस. कंट्रोल में वो इंक्रीज भी हो सकता है और वो डिक्रीज भी हो सकता है. ठीक है. Anyhow, let's move on to the next question. Okay, again, you will see all of the questions are more or less similar. The graph shows how the rate of photosynthesis varies with light intensity at two different temperatures. Other variables are kept the same. Look at the x-axis. कौन सा variable दिया हुआ है? Light intensity. और y-axis पे, of course, you have the rate of photosynthesis. Okay. In which sections of the graph is light intensity limiting the rate of photosynthesis? देखिए, again, light intensity तब होगी